Hello and welcome to another episode of Ivy Backed. I'm so excited to be looking at another Gamefound campaign. This is my second one ever, and we're doing them back-to-back weeks. I have a feeling that's going to increase. A lot of people are moving over to Gamefound as a platform, and I understand the reasons why. There are definitely some improvements. I mentioned some things I don't like about it last week when we were checking out a different campaign. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it again. I think there's some things that are just going to change campaign to campaign, and it's not necessarily a platform issue. But there are some platform issues that I still see. Speaking of that, we're going to be doing a giveaway for something Moonrakers related. I said it could be anything Moonrakers, but most likely a Kickstarter exclusive edition is what you should get because it's worth the most money. Or maybe it's the hardest to get to. We don't have to think about things in terms of money. Come on, Austin. So we're going to go ahead and do a drawing for that. I'm going to pull that up. So this is the video, Ivy Backed Wild Ascent, Villagers and Dungeons of Dragonheim. Wild Ascent obviously being the Gamefound game we covered. And this was going to be comments about the platform as a whole. So we're going to specifically, should we go over there and what you like about the platform? So I'm going to pull that up and make myself a little bit bigger here. There we go. All right. Hyun, the Gamefound logo looks better. Hyun, that barely counts. Barely counts, but I'm going to give it to you. So congratulations, Hyun. You have won our giveaway. All right. So we're going to be talking about 3 games today. We're going to be talking about Distilled. We're going to be talking about Velocity Vanguard and Platformer. We're doing a couple of new things this week. The first new thing is that Velocity Vanguard is a relaunch, and we're going to be comparing their 2 pages a little bit, which I'm really excited about. The second new thing is that I'm just adding numbers of things to stuff because there's really only one new thing, and I was trying to panic and think of something else that could be new, and nothing came to mind. I kind of did a revenge bedtime last night. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, where it's like, you have to be up early to do stuff, but you had to spend a lot of your day like, taking care of kids or working on something or doing stuff around the house. And so you have like a revenge bedtime, but the revenge is kind of against yourself. It's not a good, healthy habit. You shouldn't do it. Go to bed on time, people. But yeah, excited to dig into Distilled. I've actually talked to one of the creators about this a little bit. I'm hoping to have them on an Ivy Games Weekly now that the game is live. It looks really, really cool. So let's dig into this page. All right. Before I get into that, hey, Matt, hey, Duke, and hey, Dave, thanks so much for watching. Please hit me up with any questions you guys have while we're going through this. So Distilled all the way up to 82,000 already. That's like 4x their original goal. So they are cruising from Wisconsin here. I saw some really, really solid quotes on this page. So they definitely did their homework. And I'm excited to kind of walk through that. First created, we've seen a lot of really good first created campaigns in the last month. This is no exception. 60 backed. That's a wonderful initial backing number. So thanks, Paverson, for doing that. Really, really great backed level there for you guys. All right. It is rare that you see a first created game having finalist awards at the top of the page. This is a Cardboard Edison and an Ion Award. That's great for them. Most people have not been able to get their game into awards. Most often games, unless it's like a game design competition, like you can't win a lot of awards until their game is actually published. So that's why you're not seeing tons of laurels and stuff on a lot of pages. But there are design competitions. And so it looks like they've managed to lock a couple of those in, which is really awesome for them. Congrats to them for being finalists for those awards. But yeah, starting off, it's obviously a spirit making game. So you're going to have a lot of the taste testing and a lot of the ingredients. And so you see like the corn and the wheat and the different bottles back there. So you're going to see a lot of like the barrels and stuff like that. From Tennessee, whiskey's a big thing here. So I can appreciate the visualization. That is very much what a place would look like Jack Daniels. So they obviously have nailed the feel there. I love this picture. It has a little bit of art. It has this like block in the bottom right hand corner that gives you the kind of like gameplay, like players and how old. 14 plus. Good job. I mean, I'm sure the people that are doing 13 plus or 12 plus have reasons. I just don't know what they are. And then they did a game design and art and graphic design call out here. I like that. I don't I don't think we do that on our campaigns, and people are always like, who did your art? And so it's good if you're proud of your art and stuff to feature that person really high. Then we talk a little bit about what it is. You've inherited a distillery from long lost relative. Man, those long lost relatives, you hear about them every once in a while, and someone just passes away and leaves someone a distillery. Be nice, right? Okay, first thing that I think is great. Right here, guys. Every campaign, including IV campaigns, should have this, and most 99% do not. Screen reader friendly version, text only, found here. Please, 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 if Mythic Mischief launches and I have not done this, I will hire someone that day to create this for us and link to it, because I want to do this so badly and I'm terrified I'm going to forget. It's in my notes. I'm going to remember. But that is something that I want to have on all of our campaigns going forward, because there's people that like they can't look at these pictures because the text doesn't carry over. And it's just something that we can do that's easy. Any campaign that can do it is easy, and it really helps people that can't look at small text. I mean, a lot of times people look at these campaigns on their phones too, and they're like, oh, I can't read that. So yeah, that needs to be there in every campaign, and I'm so proud of them for putting it in here, and I need to do that in my campaigns. So once again, I'm always learning stuff and getting reminded of stuff that I need to be doing. That's why I love doing this show, because it's so helpful for me. And having it at the top is important, because if it's not at the top, then someone's gonna be like, well, I can't read this, I'm just gonna go to the bottom. Or I'm not gonna go to the bottom. I'm gonna go to the different page. Or maybe not Kickstarter at all, but just how can we make it more inclusive? Great job for them. All right, Not Board Gaming. It is one of the best designed games I've ever played. Mark Dainty, Not Board Gaming. This is a wonderful quote. However, I don't know if they're talking about graphic design or game design. And I wish they would have asked Mark, hey, did you mean graphic design? But it might be in their favor that the quote is ambiguous, right? Like now it's like, well, you have to decide which one it is, or is it both? So that it made me happy and sad at the same time, because I really want to know what Mark thought, which one he was talking about. But it's good either way. It's a good quote either way. Thomas Wilkerson. Hey, Wilson, not Wilkerson. Hey, Austin, hope you and your family had a happy 4th. It was awesome. This is the first year my son could understand and enjoy fireworks. And so that was really, really fun. We ran around our neighborhood looking at different fireworks going off. And my daughter, who's 4 months old, slept through the whole thing. So it was incredible that the hundreds of fireworks going off around us somehow didn't wake her up. So it was great. Hope yours was great too, Thomas. Cool. All right. What's in the box? Mechanically, it's incredible, and thematically, it's incredible. They've snuck quotes, not even into quote blocks, but into their what's in the box section. And it's everywhere. This is one of the better, looking integrations of quotes that I have seen. And I'm just kind of running around to see where else that is. You're seeing quotes everywhere. But that's one of the ones I've only seen it injected into an actual content block. So when I'm referring to content blocks, there's basically these really long images. So this is how a Kickstarter page is designed. Kickstarter is a very unique design platform. You bring a designer that's not familiar with board games or Kickstarter into this, and you're like, I want you to design this really, really long thing. And they're like, why? And this is just how Kickstarter, I mean, this is especially a long one. You usually try to break them up a little bit, but it's just how Kickstarter pages need to be in order to look like they do. It's a very odd thing. But that's what I'm talking about as a content block, is one big image that has content in it. And they've snuck this quote up here, and it's wonderful. Very smart, especially with a guy like Jesse being the quote person. Good job, Jesse. I mean, this, I'm already sold. They did something that made me happy for them as humans, that they did this, good job. I've gotten a little bit of this backstory. I know where it's going to fit. It's 30 minutes per player. It's 1 to 4 players. So that's a really good game to pull out for someone that appreciates alcohol, but maybe isn't into board games. Bring them over for dinner, bring this game out, play it with them. And I know it's going to be good because I trust Jesse, and Jesse likes both sides of it. I'm already sold here. Now it's just okay, what level am I backing at? So, oh, Dave. Actually, this is perfect timing for this, Dave. Dave says, honestly, I love that there's a deluxe version that isn't $1 bajillion, right? That's great. So many deluxe versions are $90, $100, $150. And it's okay, where do we go from there? And their deluxe version is $85. So I said 90 at the bat. That's about, for this type of game, where I want my deluxe version to cap out, right? Like I don't want to spend more than $100 on a game that's not going to be like minis and tons of upgraded components and things like that. So it's a nice all-in pledge, and it comes with coasters and stuff. We'll get to that, which is really cool. All right, what's in the box? All right, so this is their $55 original blend. They have a really, really great pledge level section, and I'm going to jump down to that because it's just going to be easier to talk to you about the different levels. Okay, I really like this, and I think more. We talked about it on the Drakenheim campaign where they had that like cross section graph of like what's in the pledge level, and then they had like the icons that showed you like, okay, yes, all this stuff is. And obviously, the lower you get, the more stuff is in there. But I like this version of it too because they don't have tons of different like the Drakenheim campaign had like a plush rat and like dice and a dice tray, like all this other stuff. So like this is like if your game is simpler, this is a great way to do this, right? It's I'm just following along. I want access to the pledge manager, and then the print and play, and then the actual base game, plus the print and play, then the signature blend, which is like the upgraded components. It's got metal coins, etc. And then the Master Distillers Edition, which is the signed prototype. You've seen this when we talked about the oh shoot, it's not called Archangel. It's the Angel game thing. I even interviewed him. How can I not remember this? Now I'm so curious. We have to go look at it. Dun, 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 Deliverance. Like they did like the signed the signed prototype versions, which I think is really smart. He's charging a lot less for his signed prototypes, just so you're aware. That's much better than what Deliverance was. I think that was like thousands of dollars, so that's pretty funny. Thomas Wilson, I'm really looking forward to this one. Love the way they tied the theme and the mechanics together so well. Also like the art. Nice. I'm excited about this one too. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin beat me to it probably. He said Deliverance. All right, so then they have the add-ons. This is a great way to do this because I see in the add-ons in the signature blend that I have that expansion because it's the same picture. I can literally look at it. I almost just pressed tab and dragged to it so I could mark it like I was in TTS, which is hilarious. I've apparently been in TTS way too much lately. And then they have the metal coins there. So you can see that together that's $40 and that's a $10 savings. Like I can do that math in my head. That's kindergarten math. And I can see that the signature blend is saving me $10 off of the, I assume, MSRP of this, and that could even be a discounted MSRP. I wonder if they have that in their in their pledge levels here. Nope, they don't talk about MSRP. Technically, that's against Kickstarter guidelines to put an MSRP in your campaign at all. Board games tend to get away with it a little bit more than other things. Kevin, I was screaming it in my head while you were searching for the game's name. Thanks, Kevin. I obviously know the campaign pretty well. I just blanked on the name. It happens, Revenge Bedtime and such. Okay. It's a ton of cards, and I hope that they talk about it. I need to do a closer look. I hope they talk about the card quality level. That's going to be a comment that I put in if it's not on here, because I do want to know, is this white core? Is it 310? Is it black core? What kind of level of card quality are we talking about here? Because that would be something that I would want as a stretch goal if it is like a ivory core type of card. I'd like to see like, okay, what level we have to get to get that to a black core, right? So yeah, man, the quotes are just so well interspersed. You can't really scroll that long without seeing one, right? Like there's two right there, and then of course the what's in the box section is going to have one right in the middle of what's in the box, and then right there, boy oh boy, this game is good. Like that's the kind of quote that comes from a play test or like a live play, and the person's just sitting there like, oh man, this is a good game. And there's always a moment like that when I find like a new favorite game where I'm like learning, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is okay, I'm learning, and then like something happens, a moment happens, you're like, oh, this is good. And I love that they've captured this just in a quote. And those are the type of quotes that I'm looking for when I'm looking at a pledge, or a page, not a pledge. Tired. Okay, talks about what's in that Africa expansion. And then another Jesse's very popular on this page. She must have really liked the game. Gameplay. All right. Beautiful gift section here. Gotta love that. Obviously, people buying things, and then they're showing the recipes and the ingredients, and that stuff come out. But then they show that it just gets replaced from the different boards. As far as I know, it's a pretty simple market and push your luck game. And I mean, there's not much that I can say about the gameplay. I haven't played it, but just looking at this GIF, I could pretty easily tell you how to play, right? Like you have your player board, you've got ingredients over here on the left, you've got your recipes over here on the right, and then you've got your storeroom down here. And it looks really, really easy to pick up. And that might not be true, but the fact that they are showing that on their page makes me think it is easy to pick up, which is going to make me more likely to back it. And while I'm not saying they need to misrepresent their game, but if it is easy to play or easy to pick up, that's a really, really good thing to show well on the page. So, yep. Aaron says, just reminds me of just enough of viticulture. Yeah. Like the theme of like, putting together stuff in order to sell it definitely reminds me of that. Obviously, viticulture, worker placement game. I know you know that. But yes, it does kind of feel like a market version of viticulture. So I like that as well. I love viticulture, one of my favorite worker placement games. Distill phase. I'm assuming this is you're mixing all your ingredients together to make something. You're aging things, selling things, making money, then you go and buy more stuff. Pretty simple. Got some really good how to play videos, got the rule book. You can play it right now on TTS, Tabletopia, and then there's a P&P, print and play if you're not familiar. So they are very, very comfortable with their game. They should be. They're finalists in a bunch of awards. It seems like it's been around for a while, so they're very comfortable with you coming and playing it, and that's always a good sign for a campaign. Whiskey Club meetings, Dan Quackalope's Tabletop Tipples. Yeah. Not much more I can say about this campaign other than they did a really, really fantastic job. This is something I've been seeing a lot, and I'm curious to what solo mode people think. And it is an interesting problem, and a problem that I'm working with right now. We are working with a team of developers to make a solo mode for Mythic Mischief, but it's not done yet. And all of my review copies are going out in the next month. All my review copies for Mythic Mischief are going out. And so to get external verification of the solo mode, you kind of have to rush it right at the last second or have it come out during the campaign, which is fine. But I've seen a lot of times it's like, hey, this is something we're still working on. And I think it's a terrible idea just to do solo mode TBD, but this is a good explanation of it, right? They're saying, we've planned it from day one. We're still working on it. David Digby, solo designer of games like Dice Theme Park, Chocolate Factory, and Tinder's Trail. So like he's done games. You may have played them already. Like he's working on it. And I think that's an okay way for me. Like it doesn't bother me. But there are some really, really hardcore solo mode people. And I'm curious what they think when they see this. Because it's in a lot of pages right now. It's like the solo mode's not done. But we've launched the Kickstarter campaign anyway. So yeah. Matt, what do you think of the Thirsty for More section? Matt, did I skip it or is it still to come? I think it's still to come because I do remember looking at it in my prep. Playthroughs. Why back now? This is just okay for me. Your pledge matters. Your pledge can help make the indie dream a reality. Like that's good, but like generally, Why Back Now has like 3 more sections in it. I wish there was a little bit more because there are more reasons, right? Like they have stretch goals, right? Am I wrong? Do they not have stretch goals? Am I wrong about this? No, I'm almost positive they have stretch goals. All included stretch goals. Must not have gotten there yet. Uh-oh. Know what I say when there's a giant white page in there? They changed something. All right, that is stretch goals. The stretch goals are always what's missing when I go through the page because they have to update them constantly. So like going back to the Why Back Now, it's not just that they're an indie project and you should back it. It's they're an indie project, you should back it. It's that they're doing stretch goals, and so the more people that back it now, the better the game will be. You get it early because they're going to give it to you before they give it to retailers, and you get to impact the game. There's at least 4 reasons why you should back now, not just we're indie, help us, right? Like they have other reasons, and I hope they add those reasons to that section. Yeah. I want to know if you get this early. It's a limit of 10, a 300 version of the prototypes. But do you get it right away? And I don't see anywhere. Maybe it has it in the delivery section of this. They are all gone December 2022. So no, you don't get it early. Interesting. All right. Really, really, really great shipping section. They didn't do a big explanation on that, and I'm not sure they need to now. There's been enough campaigns to where there is that already. Like, people understand what that is, right? So, oh, sorry, Matt, I left your comment up there. I will get to the thirsty for more section. Yeah, so it's like, I don't think that every page needs to have a 10 paragraph section on that, right? But it's not a bad idea to have a little bit of an explanation, but it is enough that they said it's not included, right? Overall, very, very clear, very nice laid out graphic. It's hard to put in the Alaska and Hawaiian where it should go. What they're doing is they're keeping the pricing very simple and then telling you exactly where to look for the rest of the stuff. Ship to a second game, same location for $7 more. I think, depending on their box size, it's pretty cheap to do that with up to 4 games, because you can usually fit 4 games in a reasonable sized box. So I'm surprised it doesn't say that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe their box is a lot bigger than I think it is, and they can really only fit 2, and that's why they're doing it that way. Or they want to keep their box to a certain size, and so they're just going for 2. So it makes sense. That's not terrible. Shipping prices are subject to change to currently fluctuating rates. Oh, so they do have a more expensive VAT section. Would you look at that? I missed that in my first look through. That's nice. I'm glad they did that. All right. Really, really great project timeline. Talks about things like manufacturing and final designs and freight shipping. Like, a lot of the biggest players in the space be like, freight shipping begins here and it ends here. And like that's just like set 6. Well, it used to be a set 6 to 8 weeks. Now it's 6 to 22 weeks, apparently, because everyone can't get shipping containers and everything's a mess. But normally, before all this, it was like, that was the part that was just standard, right? Until ships started getting stuck at canals. Oh, okay. Localization partners, special thanks. New to Kickstarter. I really like their new to Kickstarter section. I think if someone is new to Kickstarter, they're not going to get this far down the page. That being said, I think it's a really, really wonderful section because it walks you through exactly what you're going to do. And that's it. If the campaign is successful, your credit card will be charged on July 29th. You'll then get an email instructing you on how to enter your shipping information so that we can get your reward as soon as possible. All of that is incredible. I think the only thing I would add is if they aren't using Kickstarter as their pledge manager, they should also have something like, you'll get an email there from BackerKit. And let's see, is BackerKit? BackerKit's a collaborator. I don't know if it's for advertising or for their pledge manager, but it's for one of them. And it's probably for the pledge manager, if I had to guess. So I think that they could put that in there, like, hey, you'll get an email from BackerKit to do that. But it's a really great section and something that I need to add to Mythic Mischief. See, I'm going to take a note right now. Add first time KS. Look at that. Note taken. Who we are. Thirsty for more. I finally found it. Oh, this is really neat. Listen, watch, and read about Distilled and these other podcast blogs and videos. Dave speaks about Adam from Punchboard. This is cool. I like the section a lot. I think they could embed it or have images of it that's like clickable, and that would increase their click through, because as is, like, I usually get here and I'm like, the page is done. I don't know what the rest of this is, but it's probably just the environmental commitments stuff, which is all the way down here, right? And I read the risks and challenges on stuff usually, but I don't think most people do. But yeah. I like this section. It's very nice. Dave Beck. I thought that was Grandpa Beck Games, and I'm not entirely sure if it's not. Someone might want to look that up for me. Cool. All right. I'm going to look at some comments because I've not been paying attention. Sorry, guys. Yep, Aaron. They're new to Kickstarter people. Section does seem low on the page. Agreed. I still see they get it for cheaper reason for backing, and that's becoming less and less true, especially now with shipping being as insane as it is. Yeah, Dave, going back to the why back now. Yeah, those costs are everywhere though. So like, I just don't think it's caught up to retail. So like, a shipping container is going to cost 80 grand, whether it's going to backers or whether it's 80 grand is too high. Sorry, that was for multiple shipping containers. My brain's not 100% working right now, but that's just a number I'm throwing out there. If the shipping container costs tons of money, that's to ship it to your hubs, not to the backers. So you're still paying that extra cost, and that's got to be taken care of somewhere. So the retailer is probably going to get less of a discount, and that means they're going to pass on along less of that discount to you. So yeah, it's gonna come from somewhere. But yeah, I agree. It is, savings are just going away because it's really hard for manufacturers or for publishers to manufacture cheaply. Moonrakers, between the first edition and the second edition, went up multiple dollars per game. Just to give you a look at between our two printing runs. So yeah, it's been more expensive to make things, more expensive to ship things, and then everything's just taking longer. And when a game takes longer, you have to pay salaries longer before you're getting in between games, and it's hard right now, for sure. Cool. Do mention that, Aaron. Thanks for keeping me honest. I found it. It's 4. Yeah. I wonder if they will take care of that in the pledge manager. He's talking about in the shipping section. Ship a second game for the same location to just $7 more. In the I guess it's not a retailer info. Here we go. Yeah, X4 per case. So yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on this page before I move on? Yeah, maybe they'll take care of that in the pledge manager. Like, you can add up to 4 games. Like, that's how our games are. Like, you can add, if you backed at Veiled Fate, case exclusive level, you can add 3 more games, and you'll be charged $6 per game. And then if you add a 5th game, you're charged $22 again. Or I think it might even limit you to 4 games total, depending on how we did it for Veiled Fate versus Moonrakers. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on. All right, so this I'm especially excited about. I've never done this before, and we're going to go through and look at the difference between Velocity Vanguard Relaunch and Velocity Vanguard. So this one was November of last year. They were going for $84,000. They hit $24,000 on their first time. So this is last year, right in the middle of the pandemic. And their relaunch is already above $50,000. Their goal was reduced to $69,000. So that's a reduction of like about 15 grand. And they already have about 100 more backers, a little over 100 more backers at their whole campaign, over their whole last campaign. All right, so to be clear, I don't think it is only the page, right? The page is your vehicle for conversion. People are coming here. It's your chance to convince them, once they're already somewhat interested in your campaign because they're on your page, to back it. So that's what a campaign does. It doesn't drive more eyeballs to your page. Now, does Kickstarter drive eyeballs to your page? Yes. If they feature you high, you will get clicked on from people just browsing. Gamefound, maybe not, because Gamefound is very hard to navigate from an exploration standpoint. There's also just not a ton on Gamefound, so it's not really worth going to explore, if that makes sense. At this point, I think that will change. Lost my train of thought, going back just a couple seconds. So marketing is going to be really important as far as getting featured, and then external verification is going to be really important. And that is a part of the page because it's the videos and stuff that they embed, and they've done a much better job of that on their second page than in their first page. So excited about that. All right. So the first page jumps down here, and instantly we're looking at the artwork, and we're looking at, a little bit of a board setup, and then little bit of like You're the Vanguard, giving you a little token of what the story is, and then driving right into more story. Now, when I do one of these campaign or these shows, that I like seeing story high, and that's one of the things they changed. You're like, well, Austin's wrong because this is doing better. Very well might be. They start now with a why back now section. Genius, because right now it's a conversion tool, right? You're wanting to convert, and so if your strength is not your story, it should not be the highest thing. And that's why on mini campaigns, I'm like, man, I really wish there was story here because I care about story. But if minis are your strength, they should be the highest thing. You want your best selling point to be the top of your page, right? So why back now? We can't do this without you. So going back to the indie thing that we just had on Distilled, discount. So $20 off, basically. You're getting your game faster. Stretch goals that are Kickstarter exclusive. And we're not ever sure if this is going to be able to be bought ever again. This is where it is bought from. And then something they did not do a good job of the first campaign is external verification, right? So we're up at the top here. There are no quotes anywhere at this point. Everything is coming from them. I'm going to make sure that one of those videos Yeah. Okay. So our first video is from them. And then we have some rules and then videos from them, videos from them. So there is one video on this page that is not from them, and it's a rules video. All right. On the first page. So right away, just a couple of scrolls down the page, we've got a bunch of quotes. So we've got, Brian says, coolest hats. He prefers the curved hat brim. Hat change. This is a Mythic Mischief hat, actually. All right. Thanks, Brian, for letting me know. I've changed hats. So they've got Board Game Geek comments, and then they've got a Mark Streed. Hi, Mark. Love you. And an Alex Radcliffe. Hi, Alex. I don't know if you're watching today, but if you are, you're featured really high on this page. So like right away, there's just that we've talked to other people and they've played the game, and this is what they said. Alex said it's unique. I think it's really unique in the fact that it's not Star Wars space mechanics, right? Where it's like, I'm a TIE fighter. I have one engine on the back and I can just turn. Not really sure how I'm turning, but like I can just turn in any direction. I am a huge Star Wars fanboy. It makes zero sense as how those ships are flying in space, right? So they've tried to make a more realistic flight system in a sci-fi universe in a board game. There are several books that have done a really good job of this, and it's like, I don't know if you're familiar with the term turnaround, but it's like we've been shooting our engine this way for a long time. We're going really, really fast. We need to flip our entire ship over and then shoot our engine the other way so we slow down, and that's way more realistic. And there's definitely a bit of that realism. It's obviously not going to be perfect. It's a board game in this game that they've tried to accomplish, and so that's where you're feeling with this Mark Streed quote right here, and I really like that. All right. So we went from the opening header image, which is great. I think it's great on both. I think it's the same on both. Basically the same on both. It's a little bit lower of a perspective, and they give you a little bit different look at the things. I actually think, oh no, it's not a mistake. They got the sliders. Cool. So you can see the difference in the box, but overall, it's roughly about the same image there. Then we go into what's in the box. So now we've skipped story. We've done a why back now section, which I think is great, and a what's in the box section. Now, this game does have miniatures, it has ship miniatures. So if they think that is one of their strengths, that's what should be here. I am torn saying that because you guys know I always want some kind of gameplay and some kind of story as high as possible, but I don't think this is a bad decision. I think it's a fine decision, especially because they tried this in their first campaign, and this story image here wasn't converting, apparently, right? They have the faction thing, they have the kind of how you play, and we're going to go through all this in detail on the other page, so I'm just going to skip through it, but it is way down here before you get to the pledge section, and this is a really basic pledge section. It includes everything here, right? It looks totally different now. It's way more broken out to show off the different ships, way closer in on those ships and kind of like what they do, the different like classes. You have the Abaddon and the Archon and the Corsi. Like you don't see any of that breakdown where it's like actually tied together and this is what this is. It's just a board that doesn't really make sense and then some ships. And I love this new way so much more where it's like giving you a big feature on this is the Abaddon cruiser. Whoa, I just made that way too big. Undo that. All right. Feel like I can make this a little bigger. Cool. All right. I like the colors. Do you guys like the colors? The blue, purple, green, yellow. I think they were good choices. Ship modules. I really like this. I want to go to that GIF. So this is still the what's in the box section. It is much longer than the first what's in the box section, which basically ends right there. And that's something we did wrong on Veiled Fate. Veiled Fate has a ton of components, actually. This is not about Veiled Fate. This is not an Ivy Games show you stuff about our games show. But this box it's big and it's got a lot of stuff in it, right? If you look at our what's in the box page on Veiled Fate, it's just like 3 tokens as a picture, and it says X9. And it just like, it didn't do a good job of showing what was actually in the box. Like this is it's a heavy box, and it's something that we're not going to make a mistake of again. And it looks like they fixed their mistake between their first campaign. Sneak peek. That was the game chase. It's very good job, game chase. Like it a lot. Optional buys. They've got some additional ships that you can buy here. This is all on the first or the new campaign. Stretch goals. All right, now we finally get to that image. It's literally under what's in the box, under what's stretch goals. It's under everything, and we're back to this image that was at the very top here, the story image here. It's like the different timeline of our story here. And it's the same exact image. And then same exact section, really. Like it goes from there to unique factions. And I want it higher, but if it's not their strength, I'm not saying it's a weakness. It looks fine. I think it's really interesting. I think they did a fine job with this section. But if your strengths are your minis and the what's in the box, then and that's what's converting well for you, then it's a good choice to put it up higher. All right, I'm gonna stop hammering that home. But it is way lower than the first page. Like we are 2/3 of the way down this page, and now we're at this. I love this GIF. They had to change it in between. So one of their things was they're trying to make it more cost effective. So they got rid of a double layered board. So this is a double layered board where you had cubes. Dang it. I don't have a screen up. Sorry, guys. This was the first campaign, double layered board where you have the cubes. Second campaign has a slider, and it's a single layer board. I think they're going to try to bring back the double layered board because they want it for the bottom section too, where it kind of like nests a little bit. But that's one of the ways they said that they got the price down. So I actually want to look at the price. Now that we're talking about price. Yeah. So the core game was $89 before. Now it is $79. So they took a good chunk out of that. The fleet pledge was $140. It was $168. No, that's 2 copies. They just have totally different pledge levels now. And this one has the expansions in it. So that's the difference. All right. Now we get into gameplay. They have these GIFs. That thing is drifting hard, and that gets back to the actual space mechanics is the wrong word. Physics. There it is. Physics, where you are moving this direction, and I turned, and now I'm accelerating this direction. Well, I'm not going to stop moving this direction, right? So I think that's a little bit. Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, it gives you a little bit of that like realism mechanics thing. Here's the sliders I was talking about. I like the tracker system this way, actually. I think it's way clunkier to have to move like 8 cubes around than it is to just slide something. Honestly, I probably just would have used 1 cube and slid it instead of using 8 different cubes. But yeah, this looks fun. I've never drifted in a car, but it kind of reminds me of that, and it's a good term to use for that mechanic. Reminds me of Falling Frontiers, upcoming PC game. I haven't seen anything about that. You should post about that in the Discord, Aaron. I'd like to look at it. Dave, oh yeah, they're pretty, but seen that price jump for the base game to the next tier. Yeah, I mean it's let's see, $60 price jump. So that is pretty big. It comes with, I thought it was 2 Velocity Vanguard core games, the way that looks. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it has Velocity Vanguard core game on one line and the same thing on the next line, but it has a stretch goals section right under it. That's not their fault. That's just a Kickstarterism, unfortunately. Kickstarter. Game highlights, physics-based movement. Hey, I figured out the word. Customizable dashboards. I do really like this. It's like a ton of different things that you can slot in on your board. Scenario play. They have battle royale. They have capture, rescue. This, for me, needs to be higher. And it should have been higher on both pages or even talked about in a different thing than just this. They have 8 different game modes. I wish that they had broken those out more, right? Like, yeah, like that should be more covered. Yeah. It should be more covered. But I'm really excited about the game just in general. And it's interesting. You have like this like terminal where you're controlling movement. Yeah, they did a good job of using the GIFs to show that. Rulebook videos. Look at all these videos. No videos here. Remember, we went through all this page. There was the how to play video from them, and that was about it. Now they have Alex, they have Mark, they've got gaming rules, which they had before. Maybe just Alex and Mark, but hey, those are two great choices. I'd add a Quackalope into that and a Before You Play into that, and maybe some Man versus Meeple. Who else would I add into that? Rado, maybe Shay, or Ryan over there. If Rado, this isn't really Rado's type of game, probably more of a Shay. I'd choose Shay for this probably. And yeah, I mean, it's expensive to get people to look at your games. All of these type of things, not all. I'm sorry, Alex. A lot of these things are paid. So it is something that, you have to have the money to invest it, and you want to see the return on it. But I mean, Alex, Mark, like those people are two people that are great people to have look at your game. They'll give it a fair shake for sure. Tabletop Simulator, available to play now. Maybe we'll have to play this, guys, on Ivy back sometime, or Ivy played sometime. It looks like a game that I would enjoy for sure. So yeah, that's a lot of components. It's a big box. Shipping estimates, I prefer shipping that is in a graphic, but I mean, you can still read it and you can see it. Things that I don't see though are that they do have the add-ons, and will determine, like, if you got multiple copies, it won't be the same price per. So there's that. I wish they had this in a graphic, especially as a redo of a first campaign, because they had more time to figure it out. They were originally planning to relaunch in February, and it's obviously July now. So yeah, overall, I think they made a bunch of improvements. Yeah, how to play section's a little low for me. Some of the like story mode's a little low for me, but I think it's a really good page now overall. The biggest things that I would have called out on this page were the missing external verification. They didn't have it. They didn't have any quotes. Yeah, and I think the how to play section did improve. It looks pretty much the same, actually, now I think about it. The what's in the box section definitely improved drastically. Yeah, cool. That is Velocity Vanguard. Any questions for that? A lot of questions, a lot of comments saying we can't see your screen. Sorry, Aaron. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Nancy. Oh, I was right, Aaron. Mechanics is okay. That's great. Age of Adam, those player dashboards are really nice. I agree. I think the dashboards are really cool. Dave, yeah, we're this far along and we find about 8 different game modes. Yeah, I didn't even scroll down this far the first time, like the KS page. Yeah, right? Like, most games have one game mode, right? And if they have more than one game mode, they're like shoving it down your throat. They're like, you can play this 7 different ways. And yeah, some of those are not going to be as good as the other few, right? Like, you're going to find your own favorite. Like, Battle Royale might be really fun, or it could just be like, there's like story modes that are way better than the Battle Royale. And it just depends on the game. Like, not every game works as a Battle Royale. Not every game works as a story mode. So I'm happy that it's on there. I just wish it had a little bit more information about how you play each one. All right. That is Velocity Vanguard's second campaign. They are first day, I think, and they are already at 60,000. 51,000. My brain. And they only need to get to 70,000 to be successful. And I think they have a very, very good shot of that. Generally, you're looking at thirds. So your first third's going to come on your first 2 days. Your second third's going to come in your middle of your campaign. The last third of your funding is going to come in your last 2 days. That's standard. Like, it's not every time. Moonrakers and Veiled Fate were both more on their first 2 days, and then a little bit less in their last 2 days. And so it ranges with each campaign. For us, we do a lot of early marketing, so we expect our first 2 days to be really big, especially because we have incentives like pins to give away or other things. And so we front load our games a little bit versus having an even third. But if they do the third rule, they're 150K or more, right? So I think they're going to do great. I'm excited about it. I backed at the $79 level. I'm probably going to just be following along to see what's in these expansions, because I'm not 100% sure what's in all of them. Cool. That was the second page. Oh, actually, I did have a couple more things I'm going to talk about. They're updates. All right. So this is the update on their first campaign that the relaunch is live. I wish that in this update, there was just a bullet point, didn't need to be designed, a list of this is the things we've changed, because they have 400 some backers, I think 300 some backers on this campaign. Just be like, hey, we lowered the price by doing this to the components. We added in some game modes, and we got some external verification. You can watch the video from Mark here, and you can watch the video from Alex here, and just hyperlink those and send that out. And you've got 300 people that were interested enough to spend, $90 in your game that now could get the same game for $80. And we've improved it. Like, you're going to capture more of those people than just saying, hey, now's the time. It's like, now's the time. And it's even better than when you wanted to pay $90. Now it's only $80. Like, they could have, I think, converted better. I have no idea what the conversion on this. They might be at 100% conversion on this, and I should just shut up. But I think that just a little bit more work on this update would have really helped them. And so I even looked back a couple of updates just to make sure I wasn't wrong and that they hadn't done that somewhere. And it wasn't in this update. It had a little bit in this update. Or maybe it's the update before this one. No, it's not in this update. Here it is. Yeah. So this was the update. It's 4 updates ago, and it's from last year. In November 29th of 2020, they talked about how they changed the slider to go from cubes to be this thing. Being an improvement even without being a cost savings, but it allowed them to not do a dual layer board. And then they even have the prototypes and previews, which is cool. So, like, I feel like this, a little bit of this in that most recent update would have been helpful. All right. On to platformer. Actually, I'm going to go back because I saw we have a couple more comments. Makes it on the Ivy played. At least I won't be going out to buy it right after. Arnak is a lot of fun, though. Yeah, Arnak was blast. I definitely probably shouldn't have won. They helped me a couple of times that were key points of getting points. And yeah, I'm very thankful for them for doing that. But I'm very happy that they let me win, basically. Aaron, they're trying to put a lot onto that page. If only they had a menu on the left side. Well, it's funny you should say that, Aaron. It's almost like you knew we were going to be looking at a Gamefound page where we have all this lovely stuff on the left-hand side. Oh, my goodness. All right. So first off, this is Awakened Realms Light. It's a game called Platformer. It is on Gamefound. It is the lowest goal game I've seen on Gamefound. So I found that to be interesting, just from the beginning. If you're not familiar with Awakened Realms, one of their bigger games they've done is Tainted Grail. This game had 42,000 backers and 5 million pounds. So that is a lot of money because pounds convert pretty well. And they have this sub-brand called Awakened Realms Light, and they've done games like Knockdown, games with really nice minis usually, but pretty simple gameplay. So, like, components-wise, the box becomes this like stage where they're fighting, and it's mostly about the minis, and then the components are pretty light after that. I'm a little surprised these games don't do more. This game had 2,000-ish backers, and that's coming after one of their other games is 42,000 backers. Now, Tainted Grail is a huge beast, right? This is a massive game, very, very different. And so it could just be that their audience is very focused on very heavy games, and that's fine. But it is just surprised to me that a game that has the same branding, Awakened Realms, even if it's Awakened Realms Light, is sitting at 10,000 euros on its first day. It's just pretty low comparatively. So that's always something that I'm surprised about with these campaigns. I don't know what the reason is behind that. It's interesting to me. All right, moving on from there. Gamefound does this like it kind of reminds me of Steam, where you have like the pictures and the videos up at the top. That's nice. It's a good usage of the landscape or of the real estate of the page, where you're not just showing the video. Although if your goal is to get the people to watch the video, when it changes to this, then it doesn't look like there's any video there at all. So I'm on the fence on whether I like this or not. I don't think it's bad though. All right, so platformer. Let's talk about it. Another Why Back Now right at the top. This is I want something else above this. Like you're selling me before I know anything about it, right? It's like walking in a dealership and you're like, hey, we'll give you $2,000 off if you get the upgraded sound feature. And it's like, well, what car are we talking about, right? Like there's no meat above this, and I'd like to see at least something above this. Could I be wrong? 100%. This is an excellent strategy for conversion, right? Giving me the reasons why I should do this now rather than waiting for it to go to retail, because those are the options, right? This is probably going to retail. Awakened Realms is big. They have the connections. Like this is probably going to get there. So what are their reasons for why bang now? Get more. Get it first. Get it cheaper. So a lot of the things I brought up on the first campaign on Distilled usually like have an influence on the campaign is the last one there. All right. 1 to 4 players, 60 minutes, age 13 plus. This has got to be an EU thing versus an American thing, because you just see 13 plus or 14 plus, and it's no real difference. Like if I had a 13-year-old, it said 14 plus, I would never. He can't figure that out. Like the difference cognitively between 13 and 14 are so small to me. Like that seems like the same cognitive level. Like there's no jump of intelligence between 13 and 14. Might even be a decrease of intelligence between 13 and 14. Anyway, it's just, it's funny that is a thing. Okay. Little bit of an explanation of what it is. Still no, like this is the first art section that we have, and it's not attached to the what's in the box section. It's fine. Like it's a good enough art section. Obviously, this guy is real intense, and he scratches a little marker into his battle axe every time he gets a kill, or he's from Doctor Who and he keeps seeing those really creepy dudes, and you're supposed to mark on your arm every time you see one, because as soon as you look away, you forget them. But if you're not a fan of Doctor Who, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Game components are all in English. The PDF rulebook is in these different languages. That's a nice way of doing that. I might do something like that for a future game where we do, because Moonrakers doesn't have a translated version yet. It only has PDF rulebook versions. All right. In the box, we're going to learn about these minis. These minis are cool. I mean, the bases are unique. They're obviously stylized, like it's not supposed to be realistic. But I think they're really neat minis. This one's very cute. That one's a little terrifying. It looks like a little bit like a baby with a battle axe, which I have 2 children, so that terrifies me. But overall, I really like the minis. They're definitely an art style. So if you don't like the art style, you might not agree with me, but I think I like it. Huge Void Dungeon and Huge Forest Dungeon cards. I wonder if those are... No, they're not dual-sided, because it definitely has a back... you know what? It can't be dual-sided because of gameplay. I was going to say, they should have dual-sided these, and you could have had 4 different types of locations, but it can't be dual-sided because of gameplay. We'll look at that in a second. We're still on what's in the box. I think what I don't like about Gamefound is like gameplay is always going to be after this stuff, after the different pledge levels. Like it does feel like that car salesman thing that I talked about before. Chris Chesney, Flick of Faith, another game from Awakened Realms Light, is a fun dexterity game. Chris, how much did that fund? Am I wrong in that some of these do fund like? Well, it's not going to fund like Tainted Grail. Tainted Grail is a beast of its own, but yeah, interesting. Awakened Realms didn't really market as heavily. Tainted Grail ads were shipped with previous games. Email ads everywhere. Platformer isn't as out there, definitely. And I mean, you couldn't make the return. I'll talk about that. So on a game where your margin is lower, right? Per conversion, you can only spend so much money. So let's say we're looking at this game, 44 euro. What's that, like $55 US or something like that? And it costs you $10 to $15 to make it. And then it costs you another $5 to ship it. We're talking about per game. $5 to ship it to your hubs. And then at that point, they're just charging the whatever you're paying in shipping. So the landed cost is their production cost plus what it takes to get it to their hubs. Okay. So let's say that is between $10 and $20. I know that's a huge range, but it really depends on how much they're paying on components. Like the minis, there are minis in this game, so it's going to up those a little bit. But if the quality of all the components is low, then you could get it under $10. But if it's high, it could be as high as $20, right? Like Moonrakers and Veiled Fate both fell between that $10 and $20 range in just components. And box and everything else. Then shipping, it used to be a little cheaper. It's going way up because of the cost of shipping containers, but you can guess between gosh, I don't even want to guess. I'm not going to guess because of how messed up shipping is right now. I just couldn't give you a good quote. Before you could guess at like between $5 and $10 per game. All right, so that puts us somewhere between $15 and $25 on just the production of it. So then you're not talking about art. You're not talking about the time it took to make the rules. You're not talking about marketing. You're not talking about all the graphic design to get this page ready. You're not talking about all the Kickstarter fees. You're not talking about all the people you had to pay to preview it. Like, there are so many different expenses that go into making a board game, right? Like, you just have all of that. But the amount of money that you can spend on marketing for a game that is $55 is much lower, obviously, just percentage wise of the cost, because everything's a pie, right? It's like, well, we can spend X percentage on marketing. If that is 10%, 10% of 55 is way worse, obviously, than 250, which they were getting for Awakened Realms. Or not Awakened Realms, Tainted Grail. What were these pledge levels like? Yeah, I mean, 280 had 2,500 backers, 378 had 81 backers, 826 had 82 backers. That's so nuts. All right, so at that point, like, you can spend $100 in getting them to back that level. $100 is an exaggeration, but literally, and still make money on that pledge, right? Because the components are only costing you $100, and you're paying with all the development stuff beforehand. So, like, yeah, it really depends on how much you can market. The reason you see it everywhere, the more expensive a game is, the more you can pay in marketing it, as long as you're converting at a certain rate. All right, way too long talking about that. The minis on this not matching the perspective of the boards really bothers me. I think it would have just looked better with some cutouts just laying flat on the board. Maybe it's just me. Age of Adam. Bum, 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 bum. I didn't understand what you were saying. I now understand. It's because the platformer is going up, the map is on the table, and it's moving up, and the minis are falling this way when they fall, but the minis technically would fall this way. I get what you're saying. Does that bother me? I don't know. That might be, it's something to think about. You could have minis that are laying down. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, do any games need minis? Probably not. Are they fun? Yes. Very fun. I like them a lot. All right, let's keep on moving down the page. Hey, Thomas got my Doctor Who reference. Woo! Amazing. I still hate this about Gamefound. Alex pointed this out last episode, where it's just like, why does it say only 3 if they're going to have way more? This should just be X unlocked, not X out of X unlocked. About the game, key features, gravity mechanics. So to give you a quick look at the game, you're unlocked, or you're opening up. Have you played a platformer in video games? Like, you're going up or down or whatever. There's Downwell's one of Zach's favorites, I think. But you're moving up the board by jumping from platform to platform. You're trying to knock the other people down, and you're trying to go up. I have not played a board game platformer. I'm not sure there are that many board game platformers. So this would be really interesting for me to try. I think I would enjoy trying it. And it does have some fun mechanics and some gifts that we'll get to. Just a couple of like errors on the page. I'm not sure if this is Gamefound's like spacing on things, but there are just some things that I wish that they'll probably catch and take a look at. But like, there aren't spaces there, and there's going to be errors on every page. Like, our pages for both Failed Fate and Moonrakers had pages that people were like, hey, like, there's a typo in section of X, and took a picture and screenshot of it, and we were able to fix it. And I always appreciate it when people pointed it out. I don't know if they'll appreciate that or not, but anyway, random map is one of their key things. It's modular. It's going to change every game. Where is that GIF? I must have scrubbed right past it. All right, so basically, you are moving up this, and as you get to the next level, it flips and reveals. I guess that's not a GIF. They do have some GIFs on this page, but not. There's definitely a falling GIF. Guys, I am so confused. I need to reload this page. Something has changed. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this person was up here. This person jumps up and kicks them off, and then they fall and they hit this next platform. They also hit this Mario-looking pipe dweller here, and he bit them on the way down, which is very rude. But you get the idea of kind of what's happening. Cool. Yeah, it was a very. The page is fine. It's got a lot of sameness just around the design of it as far as random map and epic final. But what it's saying is good at getting at the heart of what the game is, right? It's kind of got some like take that of like you're pushing your friends off of the platforms. It's got this ever changing, like it's never going to be the same when you play it. You have no idea what the tile is going to be when you flip it over. So it's got nice surprises, and then there's always a bad guy at the end waiting to fight you. And so I liked those things about it. I also like the price point. €44 is not bad price point at all, especially for a game with minis in it. And so I think they did a good job at pricing it. I think it's interesting. I like the art style. I can see why people wouldn't necessarily like the art style if you don't like this kind of like more stylized look. And then they do have some gifts on kind of explaining how it goes. Like I get how it's played just by looking at this. And I always say it should be higher, but if it's not going to be high, give it a lot of space to actually explain how the game is played. And this is one of those how to plays where I can look at it and actually understand how to play. And there's a lot of how to plays out there where it's just like gifts and like people fighting, and it's like, but I don't understand the mechanics of the game at all. And I feel like this does a pretty good job of explaining most of what you're doing. Okay, shipping. VAT is included. A lot of European companies include VAT. There must just be differences that I don't understand being an American publisher. But yeah, they just do. Getting to external verification, you got Alex, you got Quack, you got Ant Labs, which I'm excited content in the board game space. It was a little while where they weren't making too much content in the board game space, so excited to see them making more stuff. And yeah, that is that page. I am most excited about it because I know Zach loves platformers, and I just want to see what he thinks of a board game platformer. But yeah, it's definitely a lighter game, and it's coming from Wagon Realms Light. And maybe that's just getting back to my first comment on it. It's like, why is this at less than 300 backers when Tainted Grail, assuming like kind of the same company, I know it's a different branch of the company, but the company was able to get 40-some thousand. Yeah, 42,000 backers. Like, that's just really weird to me that there's not more crossover, because there are games at this weight that do hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so if they're able to do it for Tainted Grail, why aren't they? Like, what is different? I'm just trying to figure out what's different between that if they have the name recognition. All that said, I'm excited to back it. I need to go back and back. I need to go back and back. Why can I not remember the name? Wild Ascent as well, because I forgot to do that after the show last week. So I'll have to go on Gamefound and back both of those. But cool. That is the show for today. We're going to be doing a giveaway, and we're going to talk about Velocity. No, we're going to be talking about Distilled. And for Distilled, we're going to have a comment about what special drink do you want in the game. Keep it PG. I said PG-13 last time, and then the comment that won a few weeks ago was not PG-13. So I'm just gonna say PG, and you can let your mind wander a little bit from what that is. But yeah, just like your favorite, the drink that you want to see featured in this game. And if you're not old enough to drink, then have it be a non-alcoholic version of a drink that you like. For instance, when I was a kid, I loved Shirley Temples. I'm not afraid to admit it. They were delicious. My wife makes fun of me for that. So always fun. All right. I'm going to go through these comments, and then we will do the giveaway, and then, or I'll remind the giveaway, and then we'll end the show. More gifts. Aaron wants more gifts throughout the campaign. I agree. I love gifts. I'm trying to figure out how many gifts we're going to have on Mythic Mischief. But it's always fun. Thomas, the idea of a 3D laying down mine would be so unique and would certainly be better and way harder, but I agree, would be cool. It's a side scroller with top-down characters. Yep, I get you. Dave, the more I look at it, the more I have to agree with Age of the Atom. So right there with you. And vertical board with Velcro pieces, sure. The minis that are perpendicular to the board just boggle me a little bit. So you're saying it hurts your brain a little bit looking at that. It didn't bother me when I was looking through it, but that's just must be. It's definitely preference. I mean, I see what you're saying. It definitely is the wrong perspective, but board games are often the wrong perspective, I think. But yeah. Awakened Realms did Siege Storm, which isn't that great. Awakened Realms Light did Siege Storm. I haven't played Daniel, so I wouldn't know. Nice hat. Thanks, Kevin. Sam gave it to me. It's very nice. Thomas, Shirley Temples are great. My dude. Yeah. Oh, this is a question. Wow. Do you think being on Gamefound is hurting this game? Yes. But it's not because of Gamefound. Well, yeah, it's not. It's just that what I was talking about before with marketing dollars, right? Like you just have less marketing dollars to spend on lower price points. So like if people aren't going to Gamefound, which people just don't browse Gamefound, it's not a good experience to browse Gamefound, and there's not as much on it. And so I think that definitely could be hurting him. But that's just my opinion. I don't think that the fact this platform versus Kickstarter's platform, as far as the actual page structure, I don't think that's hurting them. Because look at all these. Look, I can look at reviews. I can look at what's inside the box. I can look at the project story. I can look at stretch goals. It's all so quick and so easy. Kickstarter, you already have that function built into your page. You just can't let us add tags to it. Just let us add tags to it. It'd be so easy. I think it's so easy, but I'm not a developer, so maybe it wouldn't be. Anyway. But yes, Age of Adam, I do think that. ISS Vanguard did 30,000 backers and raised $5 million. Yeah, I know. It's not that a game can't be successful. I just think that on a game where you're not doing as much marketing, it's probably better to do Kickstarter over Veiled, or I said over Veiled Fate over Gamefound. But yes, don't forget that if you want to be eligible for the drawing, you have to do your comment after the live stream. So I don't want Brian to miss out on his pina colada. Brian knows, he's been on the show enough time, but for anyone else, make sure you do it after the show is over, which is now. We're going to end it. I'm at 106 minutes. Dang it. I should have rushed to the end, so I got under an hour. Anyway, that was the show. I think we're backing all three of these. I think they're all going to be great games. I want to do a giveaway. It's going to be for something Moonrakers again. We're very, very close to pivoting to Veiled Fate, something Veiled Fate. But for now, we're still doing something Moonrakers. So what that means is if you win, you get to tell me what you want from Moonrakers. It could be metal ships. It could be a game. It could be the mats. It could be a base game. I don't know why you'd want that, especially because it's not coming to September because we sold out of base games. But yeah, anything you want from Moonrakers, including a Kickstarter exclusive edition, is on the table. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any changes you want me to make to the format of the show or any advice. I'm always willing to learn from you guys and to change the show up to better fit your needs. So thanks so much for watching.